Can you also fix the TV? Seconds.
Welcome to another episode of the Alamo City Sportscast with Mike Jimenez and Joe Garcia. Make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Join the discussion as we broadcast live from beautiful West San Antonio. And remember to tip your hosts as it helps the show grow.
What's up, San Antonio? What's up, South Texas? This is the Alamo City Sportscast coming at you from the west side of San Antonio. My name is Mike Jimenez. Joe Garcia is producing today's show. As always, we have a big show, and you can be part of the show by taking part in our YouTube chat line. The stream is open right now. We're now 975 subscribers strong, just 25 away from our goal of 1,000 by the end of July, and I think we're going to make it, Joe. I think we're going to make it. But again, Joe Garcia producing today's show. We've had some technical difficulties all morning long. Things are going a little bit hectic and crazy today, but we finally got things all organized. Joe, how you doing this morning, my man?
Busy. That's why we're starting the show late, because I was busy with my daughter.
Very nice. But beyond that, I mean, we got here 10:10.
Yeah.
And then it took about 20 minutes for everything to fire up, and it's still not all fired up. If you could turn on the chat, that'd be amazing.
Yeah,
my man.
There we are.
But again, you know what? I was here on time. But if you notice, I'm wearing something new. Look what came in the mail yesterday.
Yeah.
The merch finally came in, the Alamo City Sportscast merch. I now own it. Mario Cavazos was the first to buy it.
No,
he modeled it for us over at the Spurs draft party a couple of weeks ago. But I was able to get mine. Again, it's between $20 and $24, depending on how big you are. Okay, if you are a medium, a small, or a large, it's like $20.
Gigante size.
If you are XL or double XL, it's like $22. And again, more cottons needed, right? If you're a triple X or bigger, that's a $24 T-shirt. You go to YouTube. You go on our channel, and the shop is open right there. Again, this is what it looks like. MCS General Contracting, one of our proud sponsors, also has merch out right now.
Yeah.
Got the hats out, looking wonderful.
Yeah. That one there that you're showing, that's my hat. The one with the white.
Yeah.
And then the gray one is yours.
Looks pretty good, man.
Courtesy of Christopher Leja.
And then what is this? USOA merch as well?
Yeah. Well, that's my shirt.
This is pretty cool.
I was going to wear it today, but I didn't make it to the studio in time. If you have to ask, you don't get one.
No, I know I don't qualify. Coconuts need not apply. But again, we have a big show today. We're going to be talking about Jeremy Sochan a bit today because he entered the chat yesterday. And part of me is proud that he does that. But the other part of me is like, why is he doing this? Right? Someone posted a graphic on Twitter that a lot of people got offended by because it excluded Jeremy Sochan. And he kind of entered the chat when it came to it all. We'll talk about that. I'm already in love with Cooper Flag. Oh my God. Yesterday, Cooper Flag taking on Team USA. You know, our Olympians are going to go out there and more than likely win the gold medal in basketball at the Olympics. Cooper Flag balled out against them, balled out against NBA All-Stars. This is a guy who's not even played college yet. 17 years old. We'll show some highlights and go over that as well.
He was the talk of the NBA, actually.
Dude, everyone's
yesterday.
raving, man. I'm not going to say he's a better prospect than Wemby because Wemby has something that Cooper Flag doesn't have. 7'4", right? But, I mean, could this be the next Wemby 2.0? A small forward, power forward version of Wemby? We got to talk about that.
Yeah.
You know, the NFL has been talking about expanding the season. And out of all the people in the NFL, the one who gets it right is Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals, LSU guy, has a belief as to what should happen if the NFL does go to 18 games. We'll talk about that. Zach Wilson, former quarterback of the Jets, the MILF hunter, if you will. His girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend rather, his college girlfriend, just got married.
Wow.
And the person that she married broke guy code. We need to talk about guy code, man, because is it ever okay to date your friend's ex-girlfriend?
Oh, man, come on.
Because that is what happened. And speaking of girlfriends, there's a woman named Morgan Riddle who has become the most popular girlfriend at Wimbledon, not only because of her looks, but because of how she got in the head of one of the opponents that her boyfriend was playing. Speaking of tennis, you know how we have that big company that's coming to San Antonio, opening up that pickleball place? Novak Djokovic, who's the GOAT in men's tennis, thinks that tennis is going to go extinct because of paddle, because of pickleball. Is this a big thing? Is this true or false when it comes to it? By the way, we're going to say happy birthday to one of my favorite movies. 20 years ago today, Will Ferrell's Anchorman premiered at the movies. Is it the greatest movie of the past 20 years when it comes to comedies? Now that it's past 20 years, what is now the greatest comedy of the last 20 years? We'll also break down the 1994 movies for popcorn flicks and also for cult classics for the year 1994. When I was 17, baby, I was a junior in high school, baby. That's what we're going to revisit today.
Yeah. Well, you know, low-key, the star of the show, the I guess the ringer was Baxter of Anchorman.
Somebody punted Baxter? Baxter spoke Spanish. You know I don't speak Spanish.
Freaking Baxter, dude.
Very nice. Lots of people already in the chat. We've got Spernandez in there saying the king of paddle. John G can't believe it's been 20 years. Jesse A already coming out and saying Superbad is the best comedy of the past 20 years.
McLovin.
Now that Anchorman is out, I am McLovin.
Oh
my good. Hand over fist is in the house. Little Mac. Lots of people in there.
The Wolf of Wall Street, bro. That one's a good one.
Is that a comedy?
It's everything, man. That movie's so good.
It's not a comedy, dude. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. I'm not going to say it's a bad movie.
How is it not a comedy, though? They're in the middle of the freaking ocean on the yacht.
There are funny parts to the movie, but a lot of movies have funny parts. Dude, Pulp Fiction has funny parts. It's not a comedy, okay? You know, a comedy is a movie that is primarily for comedic reasons.
The scene where they have, what's his name? The chunky kid. What's his name?
Yeah.
From Wolf of Wall Street, that actor.
Oh, well, that's Superbad.
No. At Wolf of Wall Street, what was the chunky kid's name that was coming out of the freaking Lamborghini all drugged up?
Oh, yeah.
He couldn't even make a call. He was dragging himself on the ground. Great scene, dude.
Again, it is not a comedy. Wolf of Wall Street, good movie because it introduced me to Margot Robbie, and Margot Robbie was looking amazing in that movie.
The Other Guys is great. The Other Guys is great, dude.
The Other Guys, I'll consider that movie.
Come on, The Wooden Gun, dude.
It's another Will Ferrell classic, right? I mean, do we replace one Will Ferrell movie with another Will Ferrell movie?
The best.
What about this? What about This Is the End?
This Is the End is good. That one. This is another one that Sith was saying.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
that
Meet
was a
the
good
Fockers
movie.
Was pretty funny too.
So let's dive into the movies during the pop culture segment. We usually go for about an hour and a half or so. Today we'll go for about an hour 15. Again, 975
Jonah
subscribers
Hill's
strong.
The name of the chunky kid.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were referring to.
Yeah,
that's why I said the guy from Superbad.
Yeah.
But let's talk about a little bit of sports right now because If you can show my screen real fast, there was a graphic that made the rounds on Spurs Twitter yesterday, and it kind of pissed off some people. It says new look Spurs.
Oh, God.
There's a lot of right and wrong when it comes to it. But again, let's look at the 5 people that are the quote unquote new look Spurs.
The starting lineup.
And people are asking, is this the legit starting lineup? It shows Chris Paul. Some people got pissed off because what jersey number is he wearing? Number 3.
Number 3.
That is Keldon Johnson's jersey number. Keldon has yet to say he's going to get rid of that number. But on Wikipedia, it shows him with number 45.
45, yeah.
What's that all about?
Maybe, on Wikipedia and all these
anybody can edit it.
Anybody can edit it. So probably somebody went in there as a joke and edited the number.
Like
just for fun.
Like Michael Jordan's 45?
Yeah, and they're just being silly with it. And then Spurs fans are like, oh, look, there's a difference in the changing of the number. No, not necessarily. We don't know what's going to happen. More than likely, Keldon will give the number 3 to Chris Paul if he asks.
Right.
But, what number is Keldon going to wear? That's a good question.
Because he wore 3 in college over in Kentucky. But if you look at the graphic there, I'm going, okay, Chris Paul, starting point guard, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Devin Vassell, starting shooting guard. Well, he's had that role forever. He's the highest paid Spur. Of course, the highest paid Spur is going to start. Harrison Barnes.
Rodrigo, man.
Yeah, that was made on Microsoft Paint. I was thinking the exact same. Dude, all the Chris Paul graphics have been trashed this week. Like we didn't know he was coming to this team.
That's what happens when you use AI. So people like to use AI for art and videos and all this other stuff. And it's a tool to help, but it doesn't take away from.
It's not a replacement.
It's not a replacement, exactly. So I think what's happening is that the Spurs are getting really cute with using the AI graphics.
Yeah.
And the AI is just spitting stuff out because the interns are getting lazy and don't know how to use Photoshop.
Dude, I don't think the Spurs have interns, man. The Spurs have a legit graphics department team. They're just slacking right now. You know what? It's 4th of July weekend. They took the week off.
Their telltale sign of when you're going to use something that's AI generated. AI has trouble with font, right? With words. And with people. It doesn't really generate people like are in the background the right way. They're going to be distorted off. The words might be distorted in some way. And when you see where it says welcome, the telltale sign is right in the middle above the pictures, above the player's picture. It's a little blurry because it's an AI generated image.
Yeah. And it looks off, man. But
yeah.
Let's talk about the starting lineup, man. We've got Chris Paul's point guard. We got that. Devin Vassell, highest paid Spur. We're going to do that. Wemby, obviously, best player on the team. One of the top 10 players in the NBA. Harrison Barnes coming on over. Legit, spread the floor, small forward, right?
Yeah.
So the question is, who's the 5th member of this starting lineup? And the graphic shows Stephon Castle, who played well in the first Summer League game. Stephon Castle, the number 4 overall pick in the draft, a lockdown defender, somebody who can run the break, somebody who can finish shots, somebody who's good at mid-range. And people are like, well, wait a minute. Jeremy Sochan is not on this graphic. And a lot of people on Spurs Twitter were just getting all pissed off about it.
Why?
Because they were like, well, he's being left out. He's obviously the starter of this team. And my question is he obviously the starter on this team? Now, he entered the chat by responding back by saying, dude, it's only a graphic. It's not that big of a deal. But my question is Jeremy Sochan going to have it in him if Pop does decide to have him as a 6th man? Because someone needs to be the 6th man. I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, maybe Castle needs to marinate for a little bit. But why? Jeremy Sochan started all but 4 of his games his rookie season.
Yeah, look at Victor Wembanyama. Question, did you all see the graphic of Zach Collins making 16 mil?
Well, I mean, yeah, but let's talk about the starting line. Let's keep focus on the topic at hand. The topic at hand is the starting lineup of this team. Okay? Joe, starting lineup of the team. You are Pop right now. I'm asking you, who is the starting 5? I know that Wemby's out there. I know that Harrison Barnes is out there. I know that CP3 is out there.
Yeah.
I know that Devin Vassell is out there. But who is the 5th guy? Because I would want it to be Stephon Castle, but I think it's going to be Sochan. And I think that Sochan, either way, Sochan's going to play 30 minutes.
And it's more than likely going to be Sochan, but Tony Ornelas brings up something, a good topic here. He says, it's a picture. Pop tells you the lineup.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. He tells you the lineup, but what's going to be the lineup in March? What's going to be the lineup in April? Because again, allegedly this team is going to be competing for a play-in spot.
Well, here's the thing with Coach Pop. Coach Pop will probably go ahead and start almost his same starting five. Of course, he's going to have Chris Paul. He's going to have Harrison Barnes inserted into the starting lineup, but you'll have your usual suspects, and including, Devin Vassell and Sochan.
Mhm.
They're going to be in that starting lineup, I would think. Now, Coach Pop does like to get cute with the lineup early on. So just because you're starting doesn't mean that you're going to be on the floor for an X amount of time. He might go ahead and play with some starting lineups, or go ahead and kind of move players around a little bit and say, "Oh, we'll let you play for a couple minutes. If I'm not really feeling you, let me go ahead and sub you out and see what we got."
Right. And we saw some change in the lineup, and also injuries play a role. Little Mac reaches out and says, Jeremy hasn't done anything to lose his starting role. But let me ask the question, what has he done to keep his starting role? Again, numbers don't lie. Offensively, he was the exact identical player he was as a rookie, and he's a bottom 15 percentile guy when it comes to offensive efficiency. He has no offensive game. And everyone's like, well, he went from 24% to 30%, three-point shooting. Well, he's gone from crap to suck. I mean, it's like, okay, so there it is. But here's the thing, though. Sochan, I think, is going to be even better this year. I think he's actually going to take a leap this year. And the reason why I'm saying that is because he's not going to be able to go out there and shoot 4, 5, 6 3-pointers a game, because it's not going to be required of him. That is Harrison Barnes' shot to take. That is Devin Vassell's shot to take. And that is Victor Wembanyama's shot to take. You do not have Sochan go out there and try to shoot 3-pointers, because, again, he shot 30% last year wide open. They were daring him to shoot those threes wide open.
Yeah,
he's not a good 3-point shooter.
And look at right on cue, Tavares says, what makes Boston great, all starters can shoot 3. Start Keldon in place of Sochan.
That's interesting, because Harrison Barnes can actually play the 4.
That is true.
You can move him to the 4.
He's versatile.
And as we're looking at this roster develop, right, because I've given high marks to Brian Wright, even though I'm not the biggest supporter of him the past few years. I've given high ranks to him, a high grade to him as to what he's done this offseason, getting Chris Paul, because, again, that's needed to help develop Stephon Castle and Trey Jones. But also when it comes to matters of Stephon Castle, getting the right player in the draft, Harrison Barnes, a smart, Spursy kind of guy who's good in the community. He knocks down threes at a 39% clip. We know that the Spurs are developing a team that can actually win some games. The Spurs were in a lot of games last year that they lost, but couldn't get that knockdown 3. Well, now you have Harrison Barnes. They were in close games where they couldn't get that rebound. Well, now you have Sochan going out there and being able to focus on what he does good. He's a good rebounder. He's a decent to good defensive player, maybe even borderline elite defender.
Could be.
So now that they're able to focus on their roles and stay in their lane, I think Sochan's going to have a better year this year. And for him to come in and enter the chat on this and say it's not that big of a deal, it is kind of a big deal, because there's an ego involved in all of this. And we had somebody who asked the question, what did he do to lose his job? It could be that he didn't do anything to lose his job, his starting role. Maybe it's the fact that the compilation of players that are there make it so that it fits better if certain things happen.
Look at what you said, ego. And JHNSB had already put in here, Sochan already has a huge ego. You can tell he thinks he's going to start.
Again, he's a decent player. Offensively, he sucks. Offensively, he's awful.
Yeah. Look at Chris Gonzalez says, to start at Sochan, then after 15 games, it's Castle. Relax.
Oh, why relax? You want me to take a nap? No. I'm not trying to blow this out of proportion, but I'm looking at it going, why is Sochan entering the chat? I mean, why is he on Twitter searching his own name? Because there's no other way that he was going to get there to find it. He's either searching his own name, or he's following Spurs Twitter members,
or he could have burners and he just keeps dibs on what's going on.
Well, but it was his official account that entered in the chat. And
he follows Spurs Twitter.
I mean, dude, the Spurs have had that before. DeJounte Murray famously blocked everybody.
Yeah, and so did Marco Bellinelli.
Yeah,
that guy was soft as charming tissue paper, dude.
He was.
That guy has something wrong with him. But look, it's Fernandez, our good friend, says, starting 5, CP3, Devin, HB40, Jeremy, Wemby. He goes Castle, 6-man, and he makes his way into the starting lineup after All-Star break.
Why? Why? Here's the thing. I'm going to Basketball Reference right now to look at Jeremy Sochan. Jeremy Sochan was the number 9 overall pick in the draft, right? Number 9 overall pick in the draft. His rookie season, played 56 games. He started 53. Why does Sochan have to start, and why does Castle have to go to the bench? Why the idea, and that Castle, again, is the number 4 overall pick in the draft.
The kid can shoot.
And he can play defense.
And he
can play multiple positions.
Look at Tavares. He's with you, man. He says, so I can't shoot, put him on the bench.
And again, I'm looking at the numbers. Effective field goal percentage.
Oh, no.
0.483, which translated into English is you suck at shooting.
Oh, my God.
0.483. What was he his rookie year? 0.483. What was he his second year? 0.483. You can say he improved here and all that stuff, but he regressed in other areas and was the exact same bottom 15 percentile. But the thing is, if he's not needed to shoot anymore and he can stick to an inside game, because I like Sochan's baby look. I like Sochan when he takes it to the hole. I like things like that. I like Sochan's vision. So when we look at it that way, Joe, maybe Sochan gets better because he's not asked to do so much. Stay in your lane and focus on what's there. But the thing is, you look at Stephon Castle, who can guard the 1, who can guard the 2, can guard the 3. What did Stephon Castle say when he got drafted? Minutes after he got drafted, they asked him the question, who do you want to guard? Who's the player that you're looking forward to guarding? You know what he said? Luka. I'm looking forward to guarding Luka. Stephon Castle does not need to be a 6 man.
Yeah.
He does not need to be a 6 man. And the idea of, well, we just bring him up and maybe we can have him start in March or April. Why? Sochan started. Sochan came out there 53 out of his 56 games as a rookie, as a starter. Why?
Look at what JHNSB says. Spurs fans ready to die for someone who shoots one-handed free throws.
Pop a shot, baby. Pop a shot.
But you know what? To his credit, though, Sochan's not really an offensive powerhouse. But the thing that Sochan does so well that I like the kid in the starting lineup, he does all the little things that don't show up on the stat line. He does a lot of the little things like boxing out, getting rebounds, setting screens, setting picks, coming out, trying to help his teammates, coming off maybe the help defense here and there. But the problem is that you don't have everybody else on the team that also plays prolific defense or can play defense, period. And that's a gaping hole in the Spurs game.
Let me ask you this question. Who do you think would be a better offensive player? Castle or Sochan? Now I know that Sochan's a 3-4, right? And Castle's a 1-2-3. Castle, you can play him at point, you can play him at shooting guard, you can play him at small forward. Yeah. I know that they're two different things there.
They have two different types of game.
But again, as someone mentioned, what has Sochan done to lose a starting job? Nothing. He hasn't done anything to lose a starting job. But what I'm saying is that now you have a roster that includes Harrison Barnes.
Well, look at what happens with the team where they can play good defense, right? We saw what happened with the Minnesota Timberwolves. They played great defense at times, but it wasn't good enough to get them into the NBA Finals. And what we've seen is the game evolve where, yes, and defense is important in spurts, but it's not the end-all be-all of you. If you can go ahead and be efficient on offense as well, that's going to help you get to the promised land. We saw that happen with the Dallas Mavericks and also with the Celtics. The Celtics were a better defensive team, and they had a better, deeper bench than the Mavericks, and that was it for the Mavs. They just had a good starting five, but their bench was garbage. But with the Spurs, with Sochan off of the court, the Spurs are going to get even worse on the defensive front. They have Wemby, but when Wemby comes off too, you don't have that balance anymore.
Sam Salinas reaches out to us on our YouTube stream saying Sochan has always been a bench guy, never had any business being a starter, much less being drafted so high. Again, this is not, I'm going to bash Sochan Day. I found it funny that he entered the chat. I found it funny that he's responding to a graphic on Twitter saying it's no big deal. Well, if it's no big deal, why are you responding? Why? Why do that? Why put yourself out there like that?
Yeah, look at Tavares says they're going to keep leaving Sochan open no matter what until he knocks it down consecutively.
Yeah, just do it consistently because, again, Sochan, 30% three-point shooter last year, right? Let's see, 30.8%. So we're from 24.6 to 30.8. That is an improvement, but his two-point shots went from 52% down to 49. You put it all together, guess what it spits out? an identical efficiency as the year before, 0.483. And for those of you who don't know, that is god awful. That is a god awful shooting stat. That means for every 100 shots he takes, he scores 96 points. And normally, someone his position shoots the ball 100 times, they usually get 110 to 112 points. 96 is bottom 15 percentile. So the question is, yes, he plays good defense. Yes, he's a good passer. Yes, he does the little things, but does that outweigh the fact that he's a bottom 15 percentile guy on offense?
Well, I understand that. I'm just saying that the Spurs, as currently constructed, I think are going to still be one of these teams that's going to be at the bottom of the league when it comes to defense. Did they get better defensively? I don't think so. I think they're still going to be around where they were at last year. The thing is, did they get better offensively? Yes, they got better offensively, but let's see what's going to happen now with this team as they're trying to gel together, because remember, there's going to be growing pains here, and they're not going to be coming firing on all cylinders out the gate. It's going to be a process, and I bet you anything, when they come out the gate and they go on a losing streak, Spurs fans are going to say the sky is falling, fire Brian Wright.
Yeah. Our boy Fernandez says, the graphic says, just said new look Spurs, didn't say anything about it being the starting lineup. Like Jeremy said, it's not that deep. They added with the Spurs with the current best two players in the pick. Well, the best two players on the pick are Vassell and Wemby, right? Then the two other guys. But it brings up the question, well, is this the starting lineup, right? Because it's not far out of the realm to say that Sochan's not going to be starting, because look at Keldon Johnson. The number of games he started every season, 67, 74, 63, and then last year, 27. Pop sent Keldon to the bench. Keldon was the highest paid Spur player last year, sent his ass to the bench for one reason or another. And I think that they're going to tinker with this lineup, Joe.
Yeah.
I think the Spurs are going to come off cold, man. You got two new starters. You got a lot of new players out there. I know you have a lot of experience out there, but it's going to be a while for them to get going together. I think the Spurs will get it going probably towards Christmas, towards the rodeo road trip, be on all points, and hopefully make the play-in at that point.
Yeah.
And as Fernandez says, he responded to our boy Eric Salinas.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so found that to be interesting. Again, the new look Spurs. We still don't know if Keldon Johnson's going to give up the number 3. Joe, let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Are we done with the moves? Do you think the Spurs are done? Because
I don't think they are. I feel like they have one more move left in them, and what they're doing now is, unloading some of these players. And like I was telling Spurs fans from the get-go, do not become enamored with these players, these fan favorites,
Dominic
players
Barlow
that don't see a lot of playing time, Mamu and all that. It's like, look, man, they're good. I like Mamu. I think he's a great guy. I thought he was a great fit here. But at the end of the day, you can't get in your feelings because it's business. They have to say goodbye to these players in order to create cap space.
You only allowed 15 players.
Exactly. And the Spurs still have to go ahead and unload some of this cap space by letting some more players go, I feel, if they're going to go ahead and, in fact, make another move and add another player to this roster that could help them win maybe right now.
Now, the Spurs right now have 13 players on the roster, have 2 spots available. Again, the Spurs did drop Mamu. They did drop Champagny, Bassi, and a lot of these players. But in theory, they could bring a couple of them back, right? They had to do this to make room for the salary that Chris Paul was going to assume, that Harrison Barnes was going to assume. Now, there is an issue with the Spurs lineup and roster that I see right now that I think needs to be addressed. Are the Spurs too small of a team? Because I'm looking at an article this morning by the San Antonio Express News, which projects what they believe is going to be the 15-man roster. They believe the Spurs are going to bring back Champagny. The Express News believes that the Spurs are going to bring back Charles Bassi, which
they're going to try.
Which means no Mamu.
Yeah, no Mamu.
And it means no Barlow, right?
They're going to try to bring back Bassi in some capacity. He has to clear waivers first. Then they're going to want to get him back, but they're going to have to restructure his deal. If he's willing to do that, and both parties, say, hey, we can do this, and he's open to it and taking a pay cut, getting the gentleman's agreement,
right?
It'll work for him. I mean, I think he likes playing here with Pop and being in San Antonio, but we'll see, man. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Well, according to the Express News, the depth chart for the Spurs this upcoming season is projected to be Chris Paul at point guard, backed up by Trey Jones, and the third stringer being Blake Wesley. when it comes to the two. And I know that there's positionless basketball in some respects and that some players can play multiple positions, but they broke it down to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. At the 2, the shooting guard, Devin Vassell, backed up by Stephon Castle, who leaps over Malachi Branham. Now, Malachi Branham is a streaky player out of Ohio State. Streaky player, played well in February and March, but, any other month besides those two was not really bringing it. Small forward, Harrison Barnes, Keldon Johnson backing him up, Sidy Cissoko. Dude, if Harrison Barnes is getting some play, man, if Harrison Barnes is getting 32 minutes, Keldon Johnson might be the guy that's playing only 15.
Look at Victor Wembanyama, what he says. Harrison Barnes is coming off the bench. There is no immediate scoring threat on the bench. You have to spread out scoring abilities.
Well, I mean, this isn't middle school basketball where you have 5 players go out there as the starting 5, and then at the 8-minute mark or the 5-minute mark, they bring in another 5. It is all kind of mixed together at some point, and the hottest players typically play in the 3rd and 4th quarter.
Look what Gert says. Thank you for joining us from the Netherlands, by the way. He says, I think Sochan off the bench is an energy boost for the team.
Exactly. We saw that with Keldon last year. We saw that
sure
with Keldon last year. And that's not me saying take Sochan to the bench. I want Sochan to play 30 minutes. Okay? To me, it doesn't matter to me if he starts or he's off the bench. He does deserve to get that 20 to 30-minute run. I just don't want him playing 36.
And look at our boy Seth Elias. Defense wins championships, not in today's NBA.
Yeah,
you don't have to do that.
That's the NFL.
Yeah, today's NBA, defense will win you championships, but it's played in little spurts.
That's
not
true.
For the full context of the game, 48 minutes.
It's clamping down the last 4 or 5 minutes and getting stops that you need.
Yep.
At power forward, they have Jeremy Sochan as the potential starter, according to the depth chart by the Express News, backed up by Julian Champagny and Harrison Ingram. I don't know if Ingram's going to be on the roster to start out. I mean, that's somebody that you can – he's a second rounder. You don't necessarily need to have him on the roster. At center, they have Wemby, Zach Collins, and Charles Bassey. So Express News is projecting that the Spurs would bring back Charles Bassey if they make no other moves. But I'm looking at this, and I'm going, okay, well, at center, Zach Collins is going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Zach Collins is hurt all the time.
Yeah.
He's forever hurt.
He can't shoot. He's always hurt. Can't shoot a 3. Can't play defense. He's a liability out there on the floor. The thing that makes sense to me is if the Spurs got one more move in him, what can they do to bring over, what's his name, Ingram?
Well, I mean,
if they bring over Brandon Ingram, you don't think this team is going to get better?
No, most definitely. And I like Brandon Ingram's play. Not the best defender in the world necessarily, but offensively he can bring it.
He brings you length, he brings you buckets.
But look at the number of games missed by Zach Collins, and I'll address the Ingram part.
Yeah,
Zach Collins' his rookie season missed 16 games, missed 5 games his second year, missed 71 his next season with an ankle injury. He missed an entire year. Then he missed. Let's see here. What's 82 minus 28? 54?
Yeah.
The guy is injury prone. We talk about how Vassell's injury prone, right? Vassell misses 15 games and he's injury prone. Dude, Zach Collins in his career has missed about 25, 30 games a season.
He missed a lot of games too when he was with the Portland Trail Blazers. That's one of the reasons why they went ahead and let him go. He's injury prone.
Yeah. So if Wemby's the only starter, because I don't trust Bassey to be out there to be the backup center.
Charles Bassey, come on.
And I know a lot of Spurs fans are like, oh man, Bassey shows flashes. He shows flashes in 3-minute spurts, but he ain't going to be the guy that you want out there for 15 minutes.
What happened when they wrote these guys out near the end of the season because of injury? They started playing a little bit better together,
right?
But the team was decimated by injury. Even though they were playing better, it was just, hey, they just weren't as talented as the other teams that they were going up against, and that's the disparity. It's a false positive in a way for right. Spurs fans, because they get excited because of the way the team looks at the end of the year. And yes, I agree, they were playing great even before the injuries. When they had their starters out there on the court, they were playing great. But the disparity is the injuries are part of the game, and unfortunately, when you're looking at some of your starters going out due to injury, they bring in the backups, so to speak, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your second-tier players, your third-tier players, and the team is still being competitive out there. That's great. Bodes well for the team. But as a whole, they're just not as talented as the other team's bench or the other team's third-tier players.
Agreed. Agreed. Hey, check out the stat, Joe. I didn't even realize this until I just saw it right now. Someone brought up the question, we'll bring Harrison Barnes off the bench. Here's Harrison Barnes' career.
All right, let's show it.
Last year, He played all 82 games. He started all 82. The year before that, played 82 games, started all 82. Think about that. He played all 82 games back-to-back years. Played 77, started 77. Played 58, started 58. 72, 72, 28, 28, 49, 49, 77, 77. He has not played a game in which he was a bench player since 2015.
Jeez.
The guy from 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, all the way to now has started every game he's played. He is not going to come to San Antonio to be a bench player. He's not. Still just 32 years old. He's not coming over to be a bench player. Harrison Barnes is our starting 3 this season. And he'll probably start all 82 games if he's healthy enough. Dude, the fact that he plays all these games is amazing. Now, you mentioned Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram, a guy who can average 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists.
Yep.
Similar stat line to DeMar DeRozan back in the day.
Yeah, but I think that Brandon Ingram would fit better with the San Antonio Spurs team.
Yeah. But you have to give up a lot, man. You'd have to give up some draft capital. You'd have to give up some.
Well, isn't that why you get the draft capital? Because like we said, some of these marquee picks that we have,
yeah,
they're worth 2 picks by themselves.
They're worth something.
You know, and that's why you stack all these draft picks so you can use them. If you hang on to them and you start drafting these players, you're going to have to bring them on the roster, right?
Right.
So who do you have to say goodbye to?
Now,
I mean,
agreed.
Yeah.
We got at some point we got to pull the trigger.
Exactly.
Tony Ornelas saying Celtics play great defense in the finals. Defense does win championships. Asked Derek White. No, it does win championships, but it also needs to be complemented with offensive play, because if you look at that Celtics team, Jason Tatum, elite offensive player. Jaylen Brown, elite offensive player. Porzingis, a unicorn. You had Drew Holiday, elite offensive player.
Yeah.
Derek White, an elite 3-point shooter. They were elite all around the board. They weren't just defense. They were defense and a badass offensive team.
They were just a lot better of a team than the Dallas Mavericks. That was for sure.
If the Spurs had that defense with our offense, we wouldn't be winning much more games.
Look at what JHNSB says. This has me laughing here. Colin's signature
is fouling. Yeah.
When it gets tough, what does he do? F it, I'm going to foul.
Yeah. JHNSB reaches out to us and says, Brandon Ingram lacks effort, always disappears in the playoffs. At least he makes the playoffs. It has been 5 seasons for the Spurs.
That right there, I mean, he disappears in the playoffs. If he helps this team get into the playoffs, get into the play-in game, you don't think Spurs fans are going to be excited about that? The city's going to be electric once again. During Fiesta, you have Fiesta and the Spurs in the playoffs. That was synonymous with the San Antonio Spurs culture back then. Now, not so much.
Yeah, Jay Moore, comedian, also former sports guy on Sports Talk Radio, would always say death taxes, Spurs win.
Mm-hmm.
The Spurs right now have 2 first-round draft picks in the 2025 NBA draft. We have our own, and we have Atlanta's unprotected. Now, there's a chance of us getting Chicago's top 10 protected, but they've gotten rid of Caruso. They got rid of DeRozan. So that one's kind of iffy. And then you have the top 14 protected pick that we got from Charlotte, and that's never going to convey. Sorry, it's never going to convey.
Tony Ornelas brought up a good one here. He said, can we talk about the ESPN analyst saying that the Spurs are semi-tanking?
Well, let me show you a video as to why the Spurs might be semi-tanking. It's because Cooper Flagg.
Look at that guy.
You see this guy making a bunch of threes, doing post-up moves? He's not doing it against nobody. This is the U.S. Olympic basketball team playing a select team. And Cooper Flagg, a 6'8", small forward, power forward, who's expected to be the number 1 player selected in the draft in 2025. He is committed to Duke. Look what he's doing to NBA All-Stars. And he has never played 1 college game. He is 17 years old, does not turn 18 until December.
Kid's got game, man.
And he's knocking down threes. Now, you might be asking, well, who was he playing with, this select team? Well, Keegan Murray, who's a very good player for Sacramento, was part of that team. And there were a bunch of NBA players on the select team getting the U.S. Olympic team ready for the Olympics. And who was the best player on the select team? Was it any of the NBA players? No, it was already Cooper Flagg. And that's why they're saying that 2025 might be an epic draft, because I know that we had Wemby, the generational player, 2023. But in 2025, It's going to be similar to 2003, projected to be like when they had LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, and when you had Dwayne Wade and you had Chris Bosh. Dude, Cooper Flagg was just bringing it yesterday. And there he is with Jason Tatum. He has a man's body, dude. This guy is 17 years old. Look at him. Does he look any different in size compared to Grant Hill, compared to Jason Tatum? Dude, Cooper Flagg outright balling against NBA players like Drew Holiday, players like Jason Tatum, Anthony Davis, shooting over them and in stride. Dude, Duke is going to be good this year, man.
Look at what Puro Pinche Sports says. Thank you for your comment and for supporting us. We greatly appreciate you. He says, if only Atlanta could get the number 1 pick next year so the Spurs could secure Cooper Flagg. And then Puro Pinche Sports also says, Brandon Ingram has led a Zion-less Pelicans team to the playoffs. DeMar, DeJounte, none of those guys led the Spurs to the playoffs. I'd rather have Ingram than Barnes.
That's an interesting point because Brandon Ingram, don't get me wrong, wasn't he the number 2 overall pick in the draft like a decade ago?
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is a good player, but, you know, he disappear in the playoffs? A lot of players do, but at least he makes the playoffs. Now, speaking of Cooper Flagg, by the way, can you imagine if the Spurs get him? And then, Spurs fans are like, you know what? We got to bring him off the bench because we want Sochan to start. No, I want this guy. I want that guy. Jesus Christ.
Look at Sam Salinas says, if he's so great, why aren't we hearing generational talent? How much better would he be if he doesn't go get one on and done one game, and we want to elevate this guy?
Well, let's ask the question. Why is Victor Wembanyama a generational player? It's because he's 7'4".
Not only that, but he has handle, dude.
If Wemby was 6'8", he'd just be a good player. He's a great player. He's a generational player because he's 7'4", and because he's 7'4" with that length and that arm, that arm span, he plays so well defensively.
Yeah,
it's they call him an alien for a reason.
Yeah, look at John G. This comment is funny. I remember when the Spurs were drafting community college kids. Now we're sitting here talking about Cooper Flagg. Wow, look how far we've come.
Community college kids like Derek White, who was a community college D3 until he went to Colorado for his final season.
San Antonio College great, hitting the court that they only had a college ball team. You know.
Well, let's talk about that, man. The semi tank. I used that phrase last week. Is ESPN listening to this podcast because they suddenly start using the phrase semi-tank?
Semi-tank.
Do you like that phrase, Joe?
I do like that phrase. And I like Chris Leja's comment here. He says, Wemby also played in a league versus grown men. Hey, he's referring to when you were talking about Wemby.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true. The Euro League is different, you know?
Well, it's different because, I mean, look at it this way. 3 of the top 6 players, including the top 2 in the NBA draft this year, were from France. You had Alex Sarr. You had Zachary Sarche, and they were the top 2 picks in the draft, right? 3 of the 6. They are producing the best players in the world right now. It's not the NBA players.
Yeah.
Now, there was a podcast that someone pointed out to me yesterday, and I can't remember who it was, but it was these NBA players talking about cities that they don't want to play in. And they said that they don't want to play in Sacramento. They don't want to play in San Antonio. They don't want to play in Milwaukee. But guess who does well in those cities? Giannis in Milwaukee, Wemby in San Antonio. The international players don't mind playing small market ball at all.
Yeah. Would you classify Sacramento as small market?
Yes, it is.
Right?
It's one of them. It's California, but it's one of the smallest markets.
But their players are doing well there. They're thriving, and so is that community. And who doesn't light the beam every time they win? You know, they're in their playoffs or what have you. It's a great gimmick.
It's great.
Yeah.
And if you look at the way that the American-born players are, dude, I just don't like their attitude, man. They're entitled.
Oh man.
They're entitled. They want to live a lifestyle that is more about a brand than it is about the play. And because of that, they know that their brand is bigger if they play in Atlanta, if they play in Chicago, if they play in New York or Brooklyn or LA. They know their brand is bigger there, that they cannot create a brand in the United States in a small market like Milwaukee or Indiana or San Antonio. That's why the international players are big for us in small market, and they're better players. And these are factories. They identify players who are basketball players at 15 and 14, and they don't go, you know what you need to do? You got to play freshman ball, and then AAU, and then JV, and then you got to play senior ball, and then all of that stuff. They're like, nope, you're going to be a professional. That's your occupation. That's what you're going to be doing for a living. You start doing this at age 15. You start doing this at age 14. We're going to be battling 30-year-olds. They may not be NBA talent, but they're banging bodies with real grown-ass men, and that's why they're so good and ready to go. USA Today, by the way, just released today. It's 2025 NBA mock draft. Shall we go through it? They have Cooper Flagg going number 1 to the Brooklyn Nets. Again, there is a lottery that goes into this, but they believe the Wizards will be the second worst team in the NBA, taking Ace Bailey, a forward from Rutgers.
What team's going to be tanking really hard this year?
Probably the Detroit Pistons, man, because they suck every year. They always drafted 5. They have the Pistons being the third worst team, taking Dylan Harper, a guard also from Rutgers. Wait a minute, 2 players from Rutgers back to back. Interesting. Little college outside of New York City and Jersey.
No.
They have Utah being the 4th worst team, taking Nolan Traore, who is a French guard who's 19 years old. I hear a lot about VJ Edgecombe from Baylor, who's a guard, 19 years old. He would be the number 5. They project Charlotte being the 5th worst team, which means that the Spurs would not get their pick. USA Today is projecting as the 6th worst team being Portland, taking Hugo Gonzalez from Real Madrid, a guard who's also 19. They have the Bulls being the 7th worst team, which means that they don't think the Spurs are going to get their pick either, right? Because the Bulls pick is top 10 protected. It goes into the following year. The Charlotte pick doesn't go into the following year. That first-round draft pick disappears. It turns into a second rounder. Second rounders.
So what good is those hanging onto those picks do you?
Sometimes they just evaporate because they're protected. If they're protected, sometimes they protect and then they go, oh, well, we sucked so bad for so long, we're going to give you 2 seconds now, as opposed to the first. Yeah. They have Toronto being the 8th worst team. They have the Spurs being the 9th worst team, and the Spurs being the Atlanta being the 10th worst team. They have the Spurs drafted 9 and 10 right now. So 9 and 10, if you're drafting 9 and 10, because Atlanta and San Antonio would be the 9th and 10th worst teams, I mean, you still have a chance of getting the number 1 overall pick. In fact, if you were to go to that, let me see here. Look at the odds. If the Spurs are drafting 9 and 10, that would mean that the Spurs would have, and by the way, Tankathon also has the Spurs drafting 9 and 10, so it's their belief also that the Spurs will be the 9th worst team in the league and Atlanta will be the 10th worst team. The Spurs would have a 7.5% chance of getting the number 1 overall pick, an 8% chance of the number 2 pick, a 9% chance of number 3, and a 10% chance of number 4. That's basically 36% chance of being in the top 4 all over again.
No.
So 10% chance of being 2 picks in the top 4.
Oh, look at Jesse A. Maybe this is Detroit's year. They get Cooper. His nickname becomes B-Rabbit.
Book it. Little 8 Mile reference.
Yeah, look at this. Puro Pinche Sports is saying Brooklyn for the East, Utah, if they trade Laurie and Kessler for the West, will be the bottom for each conference.
Hey, look, the lead came out with who they project the Spurs starting lineup to be, and this will make the Sochan stands very excited. They have Wemby, Sochan, Barnes, Vassell, and Chris Paul. This is what I think is going to happen also.
I think so as well.
I don't think the Spurs are going to do much moves beyond that. But look at the second team. Trey Jones, Stephon Castle, Champagnie, Keldon, Zach. I mean, we've done worse. This is the best team we've had in about 5 years.
This could be a team. I mean, quite honestly, the team as currently constructed could surprise you. I really do believe that they're going to double their win total from last season, and they might even be in that running at some point for the play-in game for that last spot.
Yeah, I don't know if double. 35, 36?
I would think it would be 40. I would think 38 to 40 games is what they're going to win this season.
36 is where I'm going, but I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt what you're saying there.
I mean, they're going to give fans hope. They're going to give them something to get excited about, which is great.
By the way, one of my favorite tweets from yesterday was from Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is talking about the NFL season. There's reports out there that the NFL is going to go to 18 games. And if they go to 18 games, there needs to be 2 byes. There needs to be 2 byes. So Joe Burrow has figured this out already. Okay, he was on Pardon My Take and says that if the NFL goes to 18 games, he believes that there should be 2 byes and that week 13 should be a bye for every single team. Just basically say, look, no football that Sunday. Go spend time with your family.
Yeah.
He believes that week 13 should be the Pro Bowl. So not end of the year. He would say that more people would go and participate if that happens. And then he said that because there's an extra game, move the Super Bowl back 1 week and have it on President's Day weekend because everybody has Monday off.
That would make more sense because you should actually have the Super Bowl on a Saturday.
Right, but I mean, it's Sunday. It's Super Bowl
I understand
Sunday.
that, but it would make more sense to have it on Saturday, or like Burrow is suggesting, have it on a Sunday, and that way that Monday, a lot of people are off, and you're not having all these people call into work. And what happens on what does it say when they show you the stats for like how busy the work day is going to be for that Monday? It's like one of the worst, like
less productivity, like one of the worst productivity days, because we're all hungover.
Everybody's dragging ass. They don't want to do nothing.
But I think Burrow has. I mean, all we needed was a guy from LSU who led the LSU Tigers to a national championship to solve it all. Like just how he knew, just have the Pro Bowl in week 13. That's a bye week for
Budo Sports. Just cancel the Pro Bowl in general.
True that, man. True that.
That's boring, bro. It's boring.
Let's give some love to our friends over at MCS General Contracting. By the way, they have new merch that you can get from them. This is the MCS hats. General Contracting hats. I like them. I'll be wearing mine this week.
I will be wearing mine next. We're going to be wearing these the next show. We were going to wear them today, but it was a little late. The day got away from us because I was busy with my daughter. But we're going to go ahead and give MCS General Contracting some love. MCS General Contracting, more than 30 years of combined experience in concrete placement. They are the best in the business. Honest pricing, high quality work. They get going on house foundations, driveways, concrete patio decks. If you want to extend the deck, extend the driveway. If you're a business and you need to put together a slab, a parking lot, or other concrete placement services or sidewalks, reach out to MCS General Contracting at 210-774-9155. They're confident in their skills, so give Chris Leha over at MCS General Contracting a call at 210-774-9155. And thank you for being a sponsor of this show.
Man,
get that diamond hard concrete in your life.
That's what they do, man. I'm a client myself. I've had them come to my home, build me a sidewalk and all of that stuff. Very, very nice, man.
You can attest to the craftsmanship that they have here. It's like if you want it done right, you're going to call MCS General Contracting because they're going to do the job one time and it's going to last. Mm-hmm. And you got to pay for that. Not necessarily the cheapest, but they're going to do a heck of a job.
Exactly. Do it right the first time.
Yeah.
This is a sports story / entertainment story. So no bump needed.
No bump? Okay.
No bump needed. Because it's still kind of sportsy in a way, but I wanted to kind of transition from a football story to a football story, from Joe Burrow to another NFL quarterback, Zach Wilson. TMZ Sports shows that his college girlfriend got engaged. Now, Zach Wilson lost his job with the Jets.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't play that well, but man, he made a mark because the rumors that came out that he was hooking up with his mom's friend.
He liked women of a certain age.
And that wasn't the first time that he was going after, MILFs.
He was going after cougars straight up.
Dude,
man.
I mean, Stifler's mom. He is the real deal Stifler.
True enough.
So his girlfriend got engaged. And here's a photo of his girlfriend getting engaged. And her name is Abby Guile. And they dated from high school all the way till 2022. So basically high school through college for the most part. So congratulations to Abby. It's a beautiful engagement. As you see in the photo, it's along the beach. She said yes. I mean, the guy went all out, right? Her boyfriend, her fiance, is named Dax Milne. Okay? Dax Milne, who's also a football player, by the way.
Yeah.
Plays for the Washington Commanders as a wide receiver. Here's the thing. Dax Milne was Zach Wilson's college roommate. Was bro code violated in this situation, Joe? Because again, the guy on the right here who's engaged to that girl, he's an NFL player himself. He plays wide receiver for the Commanders. He met her through Zach Wilson because Zach Wilson was dating this girl for so many years. Again, in high school, through college, they broke up. He swooped on in and got the girl. Thoughts?
I don't know if that's bro code being violated. The thing is, if you wanted to be with her, you would have treated her better. You know, if you don't want her, you let her go. She belongs to the streets now. You got to expect that. Hey, you know what? One of your boys might just scoop her up. You know.
Now, can they be friends? Can Zach Wilson and this guy be friends?
No, absolutely not, dude. It's gonna be weird. You know.
Sith Elias is asking the question. Well, it all depends on how good that Hawk Tua is. You know, I mean, at some point, he has to say to himself this. If I'm going to go for that girl, I'm ditching my friend.
Yeah.
Like, he knows that there's no point of return, that he can't control this anymore.
That Hawk Tua. Oh, man, that's never going to die.
It's never going to die, dude. I love it. It's going to be the phrase.
Oh, you know what? We did get a new listener here that wanted to go ahead and give him a shout out. So we had somebody over here watching us all the way from Warsaw, Poland. Walter Sobchak. Hi, guys. Greetings from Warsaw, Poland. Thanks for watching. Dude, what time is it there?
Oh, it's probably nighttime. Probably dinner time over there.
Dang.
I know it's like 5 o'clock or so, or 5:30 right now out there in Amsterdam. So I'm going to assume it's kind of close to the same. But I find this to be funny because, you know, is it okay if they were just boyfriend and girlfriend? Or because I can see dating a girl that your friend was with if they were together for a couple of months, right? But if that was your college roommate's high school sweetheart and they dated for 2 years in high school, they dated for 2 years in college, and then they broke up and they were together for 4 or 5 years and that was their first love and all that stuff, I don't think I could go there, right?
Yeah.
And then what about if like someone is married to, if your friend gets divorced? I mean, that's off limits. That has to be off limits, though, right?
Yeah.
If they were married to somebody, like, you know, you're not going to be their friend ever again. You are crossing a major line. I'm going to go ahead and say this, that bro code was, in fact, violated.
Look at Little Peaches Sports, their comment. What did they say?
Zach Wilson violates bro code through their moms. Who cares at this point?
And look at what Little Max says. Milfs are less maintenance.
That's what you know, they're less maintenance when you're 25. They're high maintenance when you're 45. That is fact. That is fact. So have you ever heard?
She's a homie hopper. It's Fernandez.
Have you ever heard of this woman on the left? Her name, let me get the name straight, is Morgan Riddle. Morgan Riddle is making waves there at Wimbledon, not only for her looks, but for what happened during a match the other day. Her boyfriend is a top top tennis player. And in the last match over there, now, by the way, here's the thing. Morgan Riddle has gotten rid of a lot of her posts right now because her boyfriend, Taylor Fritz, is a top 15 player in tennis. Taylor Fritz was playing a top 5 player named Alexander Zverev, and Alexander was up 2-0, and this woman's boyfriend came back to win a thrilling match in 5 sets. At the end of the match, when both were at the net, because, you know, in tennis, at the end of each match, you shake each other's hands, right? And it's usually a 1-second exchange. Like, here's a 1-second handshake, and you move on. The guy who lost gave him an earful. Taylor Fritz an earful saying, I don't like one of the people that's in your box. Yeah. So, again, if you're a player in Wimbledon, you have a box which typically has your parents, your girl, and your coach. So he has no issue with the parents. He has no issue with the coach. So obviously it's the girl, right? So this girl was going out there, fair or foul, saying that her boyfriend needs to win one for the ladies. Win one for the girls. God. Because the guy that he beat is accused of domestic assault from multiple women. And on top of that, had to pay out one of the victims over $200,000. One of the victims was the mother of his kids. Jeez, so basically, he was going out there, she was going out there, and every time that guy messed up, was being a little bit cheerful about it when you're not supposed to do that in tennis, right? And she was going out there and posted on social media all of these different things about how we should cheer against that guy because he's an abuser. She has since erased all of her social media posts that were in reference to all of this. But again, should we salute her for sticking up for the ladies and for maybe violating Wimbledon code by going after this guy?
I mean, sometimes you gotta call some people out, you know?
Yeah. Completely call them out.
I mean, you got to. I mean, it's brave of her. Bold, you know?
So she's a hottie though. Nugget?
Yeah, Nugget. Look at what somebody put in here. It says, as Barney Stinson says, you can only not violate bro code if the girl is really hot.
Here's Taylor Fritz. This is her boyfriend who's still in the Wimbledon tournament right now. Now, another player that's in the Wimbledon tournament right now is the GOAT, Novak Djokovic, coming out there. And Joker is basically saying that he believes that tennis is dying.
I know you were saying, you know.
And he believes that's because of pickleball.
You know what? When you're looking at pickleball's fun to not only watch, but it's also fun to play.
Yeah.
You know, in case in point, our boys Fernandez and Chicana Fuerte, you know, they're always at that pickleball facility that's being built, bringing us updates and whatnot. I believe the owners, he said, are from like Spain or something like that. And that's going to be a huge facility, probably one of the biggest here in town.
And we've seen places like Chicken and Pickle become very popular.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Pickleball is getting like very popular. It's a very popular sport played, and here's the kicker. It's played amongst young people. Right.
Here's the King of Paddle, by the way, which is going up. Fernandez was showing us this.
Great facility. I mean, they're doing some great stuff over there.
As he was saying, Novak Djokovic, who again is the GOAT, 24 majors in tennis, the highest ever, was going out there saying, look, man, all these tennis courts going around are disappearing. They're disappearing because more players are playing pickleball than tennis. It's disappearing because you could take a tennis court, as he points out, you could take a legit tennis court and make 3 pickleball courts out of it.
That is true.
I was in Vegas this past week, and the Plaza Hotel on Fremont markets itself as the pickleball capital of Vegas, because on the facility, not on the ground, they have it up top. They have like 24 pickleball.
That's a lot.
Pickleball courts. You could just play out there, and it used to be 6 tennis courts, and now they're pickleball courts. Novak Djokovic is basically saying, look, he goes, at the top level, you're going to have a lot of tennis players still available. But at the club level, what he's basically saying, the younger generations are going to be playing more and more pickleball. Is pickleball going to be something that we see on TV?
Maybe it'd be Olympic sport.
The Ocho, are we gonna? I mean, I've seen it already.
Yeah.
I mean, we have cornhole, for crying out loud.
Oh God, yeah.
On ESPN. But Novak Djokovic is basically saying tennis is in danger.
Well, here's the thing with tennis, though. Like, my son graduated this year from Stevens High School, right? And they have tennis courts out there. Every time I went to go drop him off, pick him up, those tennis courts were packed with kids playing tennis. I went and dropped off my daughter this morning, UTSA, right? And right where I drop her off, right next to her building, are the UTSA tennis courts. How many people do you think were there?
None.
No. That tennis court was packed, and it's packed every time I go in the morning to drop her off.
Is it because of pickleball or because of tennis?
No, it's because of tennis. They're just playing tennis. Like, even at the high school, Stevens High School, they're playing tennis. They're using the courts. So there's still, the younger generation looks like they're still interested in tennis. But I understand what he's saying. Could pickleball, in fact, overtake tennis at some point? Well,
Djokovic was talking about the fact also that it's expensive to play tennis because you need a racket that costs a few $100. You need tennis balls like crazy. You need the outfits and whatnot. Whereas with pickleball, you could probably be in and out for $100, a lot less than what you would normally do for tennis.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to play tennis. What do you have to? You have to fit the part, right?
You got to have the look.
The look. You got to go to the pro shop.
It's like golf.
Exactly.
Golf is super expensive,
right?
It's a country club sport.
Yeah. So if you go to the pro shop, right, and you're, oh man, I need to get me a new shirt. How much is that going to run you from the pro shop?
Now, do you know who is a lot of money?
A lot of money.
Do you know who has that money? Our friend Moneybags, Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs. Let's give him some love. Hefe, we love you, my man.
Locked On Spurs is your daily Spurs podcast, hosted by Jeff Garcia, the lead Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Jeff has a healthy plethora of guests all the time on the Locked On Spurs podcast. You can also follow Jeff on threads at Jeff G Ken's 5 SA. You can also follow Jeff on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. So make sure you go ahead and give Jeff a follow not only on threads and Twitter, but also on YouTube at youtube.com/at Locked On Spurs. This is where you're going to be able to find the replay of the Locked On Spurs podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.
Jeff Garcia, man, I follow him every day, man. And he had Pledger on yesterday.
Nice.
On Locked On Spurs. There's an article, if you can show my screen real fast, that Jeff has today about how Chris Paul is excited to join the Spurs and talk about the Summer League and back in action. There's a post on here from Chris Paul. So you can go on to kens5.com and read Jeff Garcia's story, where Chris Paul has a message for Spurs fans and talking about how he's looking forward to being in San Antonio. Again, Jeff Garcia provides the daily content when it comes to the Spurs. I subscribe on YouTube. I subscribe on Spotify. But he's not only doing one story a day, man. This guy does 2, 3, 4, 5 articles a day about the Spurs. In fact, he had James Pledger on where they were talking about the latest involving Lauri Markkanen, who's still in the market. He's going to be on the move, man. It's going to happen probably in August.
But Danny Ainge wants to fleece a team in order to get the asset.
Yes, yeah. I'm glad that worst case scenario the Spurs have what we have now. Worst case scenario we have Barnes and CP3. Worst case scenario,
they're tradable assets. They look at their contracts.
I don't know if the contracts are where you can trade a player that you just received. I think you might have to hold on to them for a little while.
Yeah, but I'm saying they could be tradable assets along with picks.
Well, right, but I think there's certain rules.
Yeah, there's a stipulation
that there's some contracts that say you can't be flipped until like the beginning of the following year.
Yeah, All-Star break
type of thing. And then there's some. I mean, well, there's only two players that have a no trade kicker.
Harrison Barnes had one, but now he went ahead and took that off.
But again, Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs and Ken's 5. Let's talk about the fact that we're 975 strong in this podcast.
Jeez.
We are getting close to 1,000. We're picking up about 3 or 4 a day at this point. So we're going to be scouting places for a party. James Pledger says that he wants to go to said party. We got to get Jeff Garcia out there. We're going to have to make this a star-studded event.
We're going to have to get an Uber, bro, because we're going to get trashed, especially with hanging out with Hefe and Pledger.
I think we'll do it in the North Star Mall area.
Yeah,
we're going to somewhere around there.
McIntyre's.
I'll give them a call.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out. I went on their website. They said that they don't do reservations.
Oh, come on! If they want the people, they want the gente, they want the business.
Well, I mean, I'm just telling you what the website said.
Well, that's what the website says. But what is the
manager saying?
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, if they say no, we can't do that. Well, we can take our business elsewhere. We can also look at Slackers or something else.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But Jeff Garcia, I hope to have out there. I know we have a commitment from Pledger. Now we do have another kind of quasi commitment from Pledger. I asked him. I said, "Hey, do you want to make this like a normal thing? You've been on the show back-to-back weeks."
Yeah.
And can you do it on Mondays now? Because we've had you on Mondays. His reaction was, I would only do that for a podcast that has 1,000 subscribers.
Oh, be careful what you ask for, Plague.
Yeah, he says, get to 1,000 and I'll do it weekly.
Being snobbish.
So hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, man. What's it called? I like that comment right there. 975 seems like last week the show was at 100 subs.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like it's hard to get to 1,000. I mean, I think we ran out the gate. We had like maybe 200 or 300 real quick, and then it just got a little stagnant, and it got hard, and we're starting to find our footing. Some things happened. We came back together again here. We're starting to do this thing. We're consistent. We've been growing the fan base, and all of a sudden now that you get closer to 1,000, the algorithm starts putting you in front of more eyes. We're getting more people that are coming in. We're getting more of those subscribers. Our subscriber count has really gone up. You like to look at the stats and the numbers. We have really good numbers. Dude,
I don't know if I'm supposed to be I'm not going to read this right now, dude.
Yeah.
It involves a Spurs player in a DM. Not my DM, but somebody sent me a photo
Sliding
of a Spurs
in.
fan. No, not like that.
Yeah.
Just talking about the season.
Yeah.
I'll get permission first before I
share it.
Before I share that, and maybe I shouldn't, but let's just go ahead and say that certain Spurs players are not afraid to interact with certain Spurs fans.
Yeah.
Especially if it's on the up and up. But you talk about the subscribers. We're at 975 right now. You say that I like keeping up with stats. Our good friends over at In the Building, Mike Taylor, they've been at it for a long, long time. In the Building, they had their 4,000 subscribers.
I saw that. Congratulations to them.
But I'm looking at it right now. We were at 950 on July 1. What are we, July 9? We're at 975, right?
I told you it was going to probably hit 1,000 by the end of July.
We were at 900 on June 2nd. So we've had 75 in the last 35 some odd days.
It's nuts.
Going back in time, I mean, we're gaining about, we have the stats here. There's a thing called YouTube Studio, and this is only people who watch on YouTube.
Yeah.
This is not the Facebook subscribers.
Twitter, none of
that.
The
Twitter
X,
ones.
yeah.
But 975, it says that we have gotten 66 new subscribers in the last 28 days.
Yeah.
So we're 25 away. Just by looking at that, we should get there by 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, and I'm almost all caught up, loading up all the episodes, the past episodes of the Alamo City Sportscast, because we know we have some people that listen to us at work, and they've been asking me. So I was just sitting down yesterday, just doing the gauntlet of updating everything. So I think I'm about maybe 4 or 5 episodes out of being completely caught up.
Yeah,
which is great. So now they can listen to all the latest stuff, and then moving forward, the plan is to stay on top of everything and just put it out as soon as we're done.
And that's the thing, man. It's all about the consistency and making sure that the content is available. You do a fantastic job, Joe. You do an amazing job with everything here.
Oh, look, we got a question here, or a comment by Tavarius. He says, when are you guys getting the Spurs credentials? And it's like, you know what? That can actually be something that we can apply for, because I do know the Spurs PR people. I've dealt with them before, and I've talked with them, conversed with them. So something we could do.
Yeah, and I think you need to get to 1,000 anyway before they start taking you seriously anyway. So we'll look into that as well. If you want to show my screen, we don't need to do the entertainment bump today, but today is the 20-year anniversary of Anchorman, the Will Ferrell classic, starring obviously Will Ferrell, but also Christina Applegate, Paul Rudd. Turns 20. Glass case of emotion. So I have said for the longest time, Joe, that Anchorman is the greatest comedy of the last 20 years. Well, now that it's 20 years old, it no longer qualifies as the greatest movie of the last 20 years from a comedy perspective. So what is the next movie that's going to take this title of this is the best comedy of the last 20 years? And I'm going to give you 3 candidates that I want to put out there. And maybe this is a poll for us, Joe.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it out there as a poll. Superbad. I'm assuming Superbad. Let me see. Superbad release date was 2007. So it's within 20 years. I'm going to say Superbad, The Hangover, and This Is the End. What else should be considered a top 20 movie from comedies of the last 20 years? The Judd Apatow movies were really the ones that got it going. What else should be there? Chris Gonzalez is out. The first rule, no hitting of the hair or face. By the way, you know what? I'm going to throw out another movie, Tropic Thunder.
Oh, God, bro. That one is freaking hilarious.
So I'm going to kick out This Is the End. Tropic Thunder.
Step Brothers is a good one, too.
Has that been within the last 20 years? 2008. So, yeah. Step Brothers does count out there.
Knocked Up.
Nah, Knocked Up was okay.
Hot Tub Time Machine was pretty funny.
I liked Hot Tub Time Machine. I liked it a lot. By the way, did you see that in Anchorman? Speaking of Anchorman, let me go back on here real fast. This dude right here on my screen. Let me see here. Where's it at? I was watching CNN yesterday. This guy on the left-hand side from Anchorman, he was in the melee, pleads guilty to being a January 6th member.
Oh,
it's storming the Capitol.
Man. Jeez,
How do you go from being part of the Anchorman riot to an actual riot.
Oh man,
jackass.
Oh, look at Mario Cavazos is letting me know. We got breaking news here. He goes, Joe, today is the grand opening of the hangar on Petrenko next to the Burger Boy. So if you've seen that one little building that was going to be like some type of beer garden, you know, but they never finished, and they got evicted because they didn't finish, and they just basically abandoned the building. The hangar has now taken up residence there.
I love the hangar, the one that's on Broadway.
Exactly, dude.
This location looks small, man. It looks smaller than
It's
Burger
tiny.
Boy.
It's tiny, but
What are they gonna do there? It's like
I don't know.
fit like what? It's kind of like the movie Zoolander. What is this? A bar for ants?
but maybe
It needs to be at least 3 times bigger.
maybe it'll be bigger inside. I don't know what they're going to do with it. They have a little patio area. I don't know how the logistics are going to work out, but it gives us another option. And Mario was saying these are the same owners that own the Stout House. They now own the hangar. To me, I think since we frequent the Stout House,
Yes,
we've gotten drunk at the Stout House before.
yes, we have.
We need
I've gotten shots from divorcees who are like, "How are you doing, young man? Do you want shots?"
yeah. And you got drinks when you sang.
That is true.
You had some fans and they brought you a drink, you know?
That is true.
But that was a good time.
These are
Good
tall tales
times.
that no one will
We'll ever hear.
No one will ever. But you saw that. You saw that people were buying me drinks because I was karaoke.
Oh God, we got so drunk at the Stout House. I remember the karaoke night was one that was fun. The other one that was fun, we were there with the Rangers
when the Rangers
they
won the World Series.
And then those guys came up to the bar and they brought everybody shots again. And we're
Yeah.
like, we're pretty drunk, but we're gonna take a free shot. We're gonna say no. But either way, since the owner allegedly owns the Stout House and the hangar, why don't we bring him on?
I
Might
don't
have to
mind.
have a little business meeting.
I don't mind. Okay, so the comedies the last 20 years, we're gonna go with The Hangover. We're gonna go with Step Brothers. We're gonna go with Superbad.
Okay.
And what was the fourth one again?
Anchorman, Step
Well,
Brothers.
Anchorman's done.
Okay.
So it's Step Brothers, Superbad.
Bad.
I'll check the tape. I know we named 4.
Step Brothers.
Oh, Tropic Thunder.
Oh yeah, Tropic Thunder. And somebody had put in here, Tropic Thunder is ahead of its time. It was.
It was.
That movie has me laughing, dude. I mean, they say
Yesterday, we're
Oh.
off. So yesterday we were talking about
There
the
you go.
1993 movies, the best popcorn flick and the best popcorn flick and the best cult classic, like a sleeper hit of 1993. Far and away, we have 2 that won right away. Jurassic Park won
Yeah.
for popcorn flick by far, wasn't even close.
yeah.
And then The Sandlot won for best cult classic of 1993. I know you're
Okay.
upset.
No.
I know you wanted Demolition Man and all that
I
stuff.
like Demolition. That's your homework for Thursday.
Yes.
Oh, and we got to make an announcement too before I forget. Tomorrow, Hef is joining us on the show.
That's right. Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs
Yeah.
and Ken's 5. Now, when it comes to 1994, which of these are popcorn flicks? I see a couple of them. The number 1 movie in 94, believe it or not, was The Lion King. And we're not going to put that on there because, again, cartoons don't exist. And for it to be a popcorn flick, it needs to be a top 15 movie. Those are the rules that we created.
Look at the comedy that we didn't think of, Nacho Libre.
That movie was all right. I mean,
It was funny,
It was
dude.
all right. I mean, it wasn't like great. It was all right.
But these are the Lord's cheaps.
Yeah. Stretchy pants. Okay, so we're going to go with is Forrest Gump a popcorn flick?
No,
Because a
dude.
popcorn flick is mindless fun that doesn't make you think. And
No.
apparently, according to James Pledger, we cannot include romantic comedies. So
Romancing the Stone.
although I would say, because that guy was like Joan Wilder, I think that is a popcorn
What
flick.
was his name? The guy from Three Amigos. What was his name?
He was not Hefe. He was oh
He
my
was-
God.
Oh my God.
Why am I
El
having-
Guapo's
Oh,
henchman.
Wapo, yeah.
One of his henchmen.
He was Hefe.
Was he?
He was
El
Hefe.
Guapo. El
Yeah.
Guapo.
So
Oh
okay,
my
so
God.
94 had True Lies.
Okay.
That's
okay.
that is a quintessential popcorn flick.
Missed it by 1 year. Yeah.
The Santa Claus, I don't know. Holiday movies don't really count for me on this. The Flintstones,
Eh,
Clear and Present Danger.
That was good.
Speed.
Speed is a popcorn flick.
The Mask.
The Mask,
Okay.
popcorn,
So
popcorn flick.
we have some pretty good ones here. So we'll say True Lies, Speed, and The Mask for sure. And it either has to be Forrest Gump.
But that one's more like a
You're
drama.
right. You're right. Clear and Present Danger.
What else did they have?
Top 15, Mrs. Doubtfire.
No.
But that was a movie from the year before.
Yeah.
Interview with the Vampire.
No, that one's kind of more dark.
Maverick. I mean, Maverick is a popcorn flick. That was with
Jodie Foster.
And with Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
So we'll go with those four.
Maverick
I like. Now
it's about gambling back in the old West. It was a fun movie.
Actually, no. You know, if we can change the rules from top 15 to top 16, we can add a second Jim Carrey movie.
Which one?
Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
Ace Ventura. Was
We'll go with that one. So
that was a good one.
We'll make the ruling there.
Yeah.
We'll take the number 16 movie. Now, as far as movies that are not in the top 20 that can be considered to be cult classics, the 22nd most popular movie was Dumb and Dumber. But then again, that only came out in the end of December, so that's not going to count. The Crow.
Crow's a cult classic.
Natural Born Killers.
Another one that was good, dude. Woody Harrelson.
D2 Mighty Ducks.
That one, that's a comedy, but it has a huge cult following.
Major League 2, which I saw yesterday.
That movie is low key, like really like flies under the radar, but it's pretty good.
Oh, I got one. Blue Chips.
Chips with Shaq.
With Shaq.
Nick Nolte.
Nick Nolte. I think we'll
and
go
they
that
had
one.
Penny Hardaway in that one too.
Sam Salita saying, shit, we missed out on Tombstone. Actually, Tombstone came out in 1994.
And look at this one. Chris Gonzalez says, Ace is the popcorn flick of 94, the beginning of Jim Carrey's run. Yep.
Well, actually, no. Tombstone was released in 1993. That's the problem with Tombstone. It got released on Christmas Day in 93. So a lot of its numbers came out in 93. A lot of it came out in 94. And I will say this, famously, I'd never seen that movie up until about 2 years ago.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
It's all right. The last hour was good. The first hour was,
Val Kilmer was pretty damn good in that movie, dude.
The first hour was awful. The second hour was really good.
Yeah.
It averaged out.
I like what he did with the cup, remember?
Yeah. I still don't know what 3 cups means, by the way.
The 3 seashells?
3 seashells.
That's why you gotta watch Demolition Man. And remember, me and Pledger told you that's your homework. Maybe I'll talk with Pledger and I'll have him here. So if you do your movie review, we'll see if Pledge agrees with you.
So is Tombstone, because people are asking for Tombstone to be in this mix here, is Tombstone considered to be a popcorn flick or is it a cult classic?
Oh man, that one's a tough one. It's a Western. Basically, that's its genre. It is a Western through and through.
I think it's more popcorn flick.
It's a Western, bro. It's a pure Western movie.
You heard that. Don't blame me.
Joe, no, I'm just telling you.
Joe is saying no.
It's a Western.
Joe is saying no.
It's a no for me because it's a Western. I like Westerns, but it's not a popcorn flick.
Again, we've talked about a lot today. We got to wrap things up. But again, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want to leave us a tip, you can buy us a coffee. Again, the merch is available not only for us, but MCS General Contracting as well. The USOA merch is available as well. That's the only way I can be a member.
This is one of my favorite movie sayings of all time. Esqueleto from Nacho Libre, like Mario Cavazos put in here.
Yeah.
What does he say? I don't believe in God. I believe in science. Dumbass, dude.
That was a good movie.
It was
a good movie. It wasn't a great movie. It was a good movie.
It was a good movie. It's funny to watch.
But lots of polls at MJ Acquire Taste. But we'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll have Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs and Ken's 5. Again, once we get to 1,000, James Pledger will commit to being on this show weekly on Mondays. Dude, last night, Pledger and I had a conversation over the phone, which was essentially a podcast. And I told him we were on for an hour and 15 on my phone for an hour and 15 talking sports. I said, we need to do this on Twitter Spaces next time.
You should. You know what? Maybe we could make it a podcast with you and Pledge.
Yeah.
That could be a thing.
A little something.
Yeah.
Something.
You know, what would it be called, though? That's something that you'd all have to think about. But that would be funny because it'd just be you and him arguing over your differences in sports and life and whatever, you know?
Yeah. So we were talking about, it's funny because it's late at night. He called me and I was on my walk. I had gone to the gym. I was lifting weights, and I went on the elliptical after I lifted weights, and then I wanted to go for a walk. So I went for a 3-mile walk.
Okay.
And after my 3-mile walk, towards the end of it, he gives me a call.
Yeah.
And this conversation went on for about an hour and 15 minutes easily. And we were talking about Caitlin Clark still, man. We were going off about Caitlin Clark, and we were asking the question, well, why is she so popular and things like that? And I kind of was like, dude, I mean, there's a small percentage of it. It's not 100%, but there's a percentage of it that's because she's white. No. He didn't want to hear it. He didn't want to hear it. He was like, no, it's because she's like a Steph Curry type of player. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm not saying that it's like 100% the reason why, or even 50% the reason why. Yeah. I said, no different than me cheering for the Mexican boxer. You know, there are people who cheered for Larry Bird because he was white because they identify with him, and people who cheered for Magic Johnson because they identify with him being black. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm saying that that's a small piece. And we argued about that over the phone. And I'm like, oh my God, we're actually having a podcast on a phone call that no one's listening to. What the hell's going on here?
You know what? I think this would be my pitch. If we're going to do something like, say we do a podcast with Pledge, right? It could be all of us talking, right?
Yeah.
And we could be talking about this exact subject, talking about movies and anything else we want to talk about. It'd be fun. It'd be almost like a versus battle.
Yeah.
You know, that would be fun.
That'd be badass. Well, my name is Mike Jimenez. That's Joe Garcia. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll have Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs.
El Jefe, he'll be joining us, man. So he'll be going to talk to us about everything and anything that's going on as far as Spurs rumors and trades.
Maybe I should do Demolition Man tomorrow.
I don't know. That's up to you. If you can watch it tonight, that's the thing.
It's on AMC. I know I have it for free at my house.
Yeah, there you go. Watch it.
I looked it up already.
You're going to find out why Dennis Rodman painted his hair or dyed his hair yellow.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
That's Joe. I'm Mike. Don't forget to buy our merch. Our party's going to be in a few weeks. We'll make this happen. See ya.